Welcome back to the Ride and Laugh podcast. If you love mountain biking, you are in the right place. Today's episode is a quick rip. Dan and Sage are off doing something hopefully really fun, riding their bikes, coming back with lots of great stories to talk about on the podcast. But we got you covered. We're keeping the vibe high. We're keeping episodes going. We got our quick rips. And if you're new to the podcast, check it out and check out our full length podcast as well.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into it. Sage, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. And yes, if you are just getting into this, man, you are in for a treat. Definitely check out our other quick rips. Danny, let's do it.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about mountain bike gear, and that can really be something that you wear, but probably even more along lines of what we're riding and how important is the bike and the upgrades. We see questions like this all the time. Is this going to make me faster? Is this going to make me better? Is this going to make me safer? Is this going to be more fun? How important is that bike and these upgrades and this equipment that's on the bike?
Yeah, we were just at Sears this past weekend, which is a mountain bike place with big jumps. And my buddy Terry broke his derailleur, and he's like, "Why am I getting these expensive derailleurs? Why don't I just get the SLX?" And we were talking about the differences. And SLX is, if you don't know, that's Shimano's brand of derailleur. Yeah. They have everything from Dior, SLX, all the way to the top end XTR. And it's like, he was asking the question.
Let's just say budget to expert level. And the differences being
price.
I think what you're getting into.
Yes,
right.
Yes. And Terry's like, why am I spending more money on these, when I could just get the SLX? What's the difference? And the difference is a couple grams. That's it. And price. You're talking a massive price difference between these different levels for these derailleurs. And there are certain items of gear that I would get the best of. And there are other items on my mountain bike that I would get the SLX version because I knew I was going to break my derailleur on a rock so many times, and it was like, okay.
There was a time in mountain biking when the more expensive parts worked better than the less expensive parts.
Yes, there was. Yes. Yeah.
Right. And there was a time in mountain biking when the less expensive parts were so much heavier and the more expensive parts were so much better that it was I think we kind of get locked into some of us older riders that have been around for a little bit. Sage and I are a little longer in the tooth, if you will. We're kind of conditioned, and the bike industry certainly wants you to think that this upgrade is worthwhile. I think when it comes to derailleurs and a lot of the moving parts on a bike, suspension, the bikes are going to work well. They're going to work really well. I don't think you need the high-end stuff. And like you said, the most expensive derailleur compared to the cheapest derailleur, they all work. It's just how much does it weigh? And that's not a heavy part.
Yeah.
So there are things that I think that, and we can talk about this, where weight does matter. And that's where you want to invest the money.
Yeah.
I will say that when I bought new bikes, I always like to look at you look at the nice build, and then you break your really expensive derailleur, and I just put on the budget one.
Put the budget.
I don't. I'm not spending when you tell you the price of the new expensive derailleur that came with your bike. You're like, how much is the cheap one? And what's the difference? Grams? Put on the cheap one. So I've never never bought a really expensive replacement derailleur.
I know.
But
I know.
Should we be focusing on? I'll let you respond to what I said, but also what parts of the bike should we be focusing on? Where should we be putting our money?
Listen, I didn't think about suspension, but you're right. Suspensions is another one of those. And by the way, there is a difference between quality and suspensions, but at a certain point, it doesn't matter, right? You're going to notice a big difference between Kmart brand, spring loaded,
right?
And then you jump up. I'm not even going to name brands because I don't want to downplay anybody. The shocks that I'm talking about. You could feel it. And then you jump up.
Kmart, for anyone that doesn't know, in the 80s was a very cheap place. It was a discount place to buy all sorts of things. I don't think they're in business anymore. So you didn't slander anyone that's actually in business. But yeah, you did. You did say Kmart. So again, our older listeners are probably chuckling. Yeah, they're like, yeah, I remember Kmart. And our younger listeners, I don't know what to tell you. You missed the Kmart experience.
I think they're gone. The younger listeners, they checked out. Yes.
Come back.
All right.
We'll talk about brain rot. Let's use some brain rot. Let's get our younger listeners back in. Let's get some aura going. You don't even know what it is. You don't have kids of that age.
Oh boy. All right. Well, my point was, you'll notice a difference between those lower shocks and then the next level up, which again, I'm just going to name the two biggest players, which is RockShox and Fox. Their entry level shocks to their most expert shocks are going to be virtually the same. The difference is how much you can change them, right? So it's like the adjustability points on a higher end shock is going to be far greater. You can tune the rebound, you can tune the compression. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's so comprehensive. Like, and then the lower end, there's going to be less that you can do with it, but they'll work just as good. And the thing is, you make a really good point about like when you buy a complete bike, they're able to get all those components for so cheap that you're able to get all these things at a group pricing. You know, that's how you're able to get, Kashima coating, and the Fox 36, with all the, this damper, this and that, carbon, all this, and if you try and buy those things individually or replace those things.
Like a marketing magazine over here.
Oh my gosh. But it just gets so expensive, Danny. It's like.
Yeah. And how much does that stuff matter?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. It matters to me.
Tell it to us straight.
Certain things matter to us straight. I will. If you say SLX is only like 5 grams lighter, when you say it that way, it's like, yeah, you're right. That who would want to just for 5 grams? What's the point? And I wouldn't. But when you add up all the different components, all of a sudden, now you have a bike that's 3 pounds, 4 pounds lighter. Okay, now it makes a difference, right? I'm a smaller guy. If I add 4 pounds of weight to me, I feel it. I can definitely feel it.
Yeah. I suppose the lighter the rider, the more that you're going to notice those weight differences. That certainly makes sense.
Yeah.
How much does the Kashima coating, listeners, Ride Life 1 at Gmail and YouTube comments, which parts are worth spending the money on? Kashima coating, does that matter at all? I know it looks cool.
Yeah, it's
does aesthetic. It actually like make the fork operate better?
It's supposed to be slicker. I haven't noticed a difference. I have Kashima coating on my bike now. It's just
Kashima.
Because Kashima. Yes. Well, listen, I am Japanese, so you could trust that that's the right way. Yeah.
Kashima. Yeah. I said it the American way. Like, our French listeners are rolling their eyes right now. Like, Kashima.
He got him. Yeah.
Oh, you got that Kashima coating, I see. Oh, it's a Kashima.
But yeah, it's like, but I have that on my bike now, but that's just because that's how the bike came. If I was going to buy a bike, I don't need it to have Kashima coating because I've ridden both. It's not that different, but it does look cool. I have to admit, it does look cool, but no, I don't need that. I don't need that. That's not part of my repertoire. It doesn't make it lighter. I don't feel that it's that much more efficient. They charge you an arm and leg for it, to your point.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that that's something that's really makes a difference. But you're paying for it when you get what bothers me when I look at a complete bike and it's really expensive and it has all these really expensive parts and then it has aluminum wheels. And I know aluminum wheels have come a long, long way.
Oh, they have.
But I think if you're going to spend the money on more expensive parts, I think carbon rims, it's the rotational weight.
Yeah.
So carbon rims, the wheels are rotating, your carbon cranks, I think that's rotational weight. So that's what I've always heard.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? No?
It does. But that makes sense for you and I because we like carbon wheels. But I know a lot of riders that actually prefer the feel of aluminum.
Right.
I was actually watching one of the UCI downhill races, and they're saying that because all the frames are carbon, a lot of the riders are choosing to run aluminum rims. They don't want like full carbon frame and carbon wheels. They want some of that feel that metal has over the carbon. Now that I don't feel that way. I personally would rather have carbon rims, and I do. I have carbon hoops on most of my bikes because I like that stiffness. But no, there are some people that actually prefer aluminum wheels. I get your point though. I see what your point is.
I just wonder if, because for a long time we ran aluminum wheels because that was all that was really available, and they were constantly getting knocked out of true. They were constantly getting dented.
Oh my Lord.
And then we found carbon rims, and you and I, like, this is back in the day, we found them like directly from the manufacturers in China, and they were a lot cheaper than buying the really expensive name brand ones. And we've had a lot of luck with them, and they've worked really, really well. And they were tubeless, or they worked much better tubeless. I mean, we're going back to riding tubes on aluminum. And then we bought our fat bike rims we got to be carbon, which
amazing,
made a huge difference. Now they're tubeless. Now they're much lighter. I mean, fat bikes, that's a different animal.
Yeah.
I know that there's been huge advances in the aluminum wheel, the aluminum rim game.
Yeah.
That I bet that they are way, way better. I bet they're way lighter. And I wonder how much differently they ride. Ride and Laugh One at Gmail YouTube comments. How much differently is the feel of the aluminum versus the carbon? What are you getting? Where is there a benefit in there? Besides the fact that if you bang an aluminum rim, you can hammer it back into shape. If you bang your carbon rim hard enough, you're gonna break it.
Of course. I listen. This isn't just a throwaway stat. I mean, I'm telling you that it wasn't like, oh, a little bit. It was. He went, so many of the downhillers were riding aluminum rims that he named the 2 riders that were still riding carbon. That's how unusual it was. So aluminum rims, there are benefits.
Interesting.
At the pro level, these guys are choosing to go aluminum. So, and they can afford carbon. Like these guys and girls aren't, they get all their perks. This is not
I wonder how expensive the best aluminum rims are. Are the best aluminum rims
at that
comparable
level?
To expensive carbon rims?
I bet. Now, here's what I thought you were going to get to, which was, the frames itself. There are some people that actually prefer the feel of an aluminum frame. It doesn't matter that it's more expensive, less expensive. It just comes down to what you like.
Right.
Now, again, you and I tend to like our carbon frames, and carbon has come a long way. They can make flex points now.
True.
Which they also do with aluminum and steel and titanium. I mean, there's all these different frame brands, and it comes down to what you like. But are there actual advantages? And the only one that I can think of is the lightweight. That's the only advantage I think carbon really offers, because if you're talking flexibility, they can build flexibility into all the frames now. They can build it into carbon. They can build it into aluminum. They obviously, steel is super flexible, and so it's like titanium. So how much, if you agree that the carbon frame is really just about it being lighter, because it's not necessarily stronger. In fact, I would argue that a carbon frame might be stronger, but you can only sustain one hit. You could take that same hit on an aluminum frame and you can kind of bend it back, or you'll just have a dent, or you could weld it back. Carbon, you take a hit and it'll either withstand the hit, but if it fails, it just snaps. And then you got to go through a carbon repair, which is very expensive.
Yeah. I can't really say that one frame material rides better than another. I know people love their carbon, their steel, titanium, but do you think that carbon, I've heard that carbon dampens the terrain a little bit. People put on carbon handlebars to dampen a little bit, to take a little bit of vibration off. Is that the case more with carbon than aluminum? Does that sort of thing matter? The ride characteristics of the material?
I think it does. I think all of those things make a difference. Now, the differences that you're talking about can be anywhere between great and little. And what I mean by that sounds so obvious, but like some people are going to be very sensitive to how things feel. And so a slight change in like the bars might be a big difference. It might be just changing out the grips, or how your shoes, getting different pair of shoes, because that's another contact point, might help with some of that too. All of these things you're going to have to experiment with and kind of figure out how it works. But in terms of like, is one material more compliant than the other? The thing is, technology has come so far these days. This isn't like it used to be like that, like, oh, you got aluminum bars and it was like, this is just how they feel. Dude, they have built aluminum bars now where they make it thinner or wider in certain sections. It's incredible. And they've done the same thing with carbon. So I can't say that one is better than the other. There are going to be differences, but I think it's going to be a very, very subtle difference. And it's going to be up to you to kind of figure out what that is that you want, and there might be cheaper solutions.
Or if you care.
Yeah, or if you care, because
you may not care.
Yeah,
you may not notice.
Yeah, grips would be, if you could solve the dampening issue with just changing your grips, that's like $30 as opposed to bars, which are like $90, right?
Right.
or just buying another pair of shoes when your shoes wear out, that could change your ride completely. Like all these things, there's levels to this stuff.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. When you go on to any bike manufacturer's website and you start looking at the mountain bikes, the more expensive mountain bikes are carbon. Is that marketing? Is that because of weight? Is that because of riding? You mentioned the downhillers are riding carbon frames. Why are the more expensive bikes always carbon?
If your question is, does it manufacturingly cost more money? God, I can't say that word. Does it cost more? Yeah,
nope, because it's not a word. Close. The reason you can't say that word because it's not part of the English language. Try it in Japanese. Kashima. Manufacturing. Doesn't sound good in Japanese either.
All right, let me start over. Does it cost less to manufacture carbon frames versus aluminum frames? And I don't know for sure, but I'd have to say it might be slightly more for carbon, but at the amount that they're producing, we're talking pennies on the dollar. So it's just marketing. I would assume. Now maybe we need somebody from the bike industry.
You think it's just marketing?
Is it? You think it costs?
There are brands.
Yes, you think
there are brands that have aluminum bikes that where all their bikes are aluminum. They don't do carbon, but they're smaller. They're always smaller.
Ibis is a great example. They have the aluminum mojo, and then they have the carbon mojo. Why is it $3,000 more? You cannot tell me it costs $3,000 more to make a carbon frame. These guys and gals are making these frames at the thousands. This is not a one-off. I can understand if it was like a one-off and somebody's like literally hand making bikes. The
aluminum Ibis bikes are always, they're the AF bikes, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess is aluminum fabrication or something, but they're always cheaper and much heavier.
Yeah. It's not much heavier.
It needs to be that way.
It's not much heavier. That's the thing. So it's all marketing, right? And by the way, I love Ibis. This is nothing. Yeah. Nothing. I wrote Ibis.
Yeah. No, I love that they have the less expensive aluminum version.
And I'm going to take a stab here. You're talking about, 2 pounds at most. How much is that worth to you?
We need comments in the YouTube, rideandlaugh1 at Gmail. We need listener feedback on this. People that are riding carbon, people that are riding aluminum, people that have ridden both. Is it worth it? What is the bike industry telling us that we need? Are we being sold a bill of goods and that, if you want a good bike, it should be carbon. Like, the expensive bikes are all carbon, and which components at the same spot, which components are worth upgrading? We've talked a lot about on this podcast.
So Danny, what components do you try and save money on, and what components are you like, no, I spend my money here?
Yeah, I like a carbon frame. I like the lighter frame. We do a lot of climbing, and I've had good luck with carbon. I'd be curious to try a full suspension aluminum frame that has other nice components. I'm curious. I know that there's some really good bike brands out there that do mostly aluminum. But I would as I said earlier, I would put my money in lighter wheels and cranks. That's to me, I wouldn't worry about. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about the derailleur and the weight of the chain. I guess how much other stuff is there?
Bars, cranks.
Yeah.
Wheels. Yeah, I don't care too much about suspension.
Hubs.
You
go into the wheel. Like the wheels have a whole bunch of different things, right? You could spend a lot of money or a little bit of money on hubs. That's maybe a different podcast.
Listen, you're making a great point. Yes, you're making a great point. I have the bike that I have right now is a really nice bike. It has i9 hubs. Like you could argue one of the top end hubs that you can get. Yeah. My old Ibis, which I still love, has like Hope hubs on them, which are not the bottom of the barrel, but they're certainly not the top end. I love those hubs. They work fine. Is the engagement as good? No, I don't need it unless it's a single speed. I don't need a really quick engagement most of the time.
Yeah.
Now, it has been nice. I'm not gonna lie. The new bike, it's kind of nice. You hear all the quick ticks. It's like, when I go to pedal, it's there. Would I spend the money for i9 hubs? No, I wouldn't. I'll be honest. They're very expensive.
I want the quick engagement. I do a lot of technical climbing out here. I want the quick engagement.
Yeah.
And I come from a time when that was a big deal. when we were single speeding, and if you had a cheaper hub, you could go like a quarter of a pedal stroke without moving forward. So in my mind, that's always been important. How much do you notice it on regular trails? You don't notice it at all. You have to, it's very specific where you would notice your engagement not being quick enough. It's very, very specific. And I think a lot of this is just like, what's going to be important to you. So listeners, let us know what's important to you. What did we miss? And what parts should we be spending money on? And how much of this is just bike industry marketing? And, I'm okay with that too. I know these bikes look awesome. We love them. We spend our money on them. We ride them all the time. Enjoy it.
Everything that we just talked about was because of the bike industry innovating and growing. We have SLX is just as good as XTR because of innovation. That wasn't always the case as we started. So yes, kudos to the bike industry folks. I mean, it sounds like we were bad mouthing them, and this isn't about bad mouthing. I mean, they have to make their money, and I need them to make their mony so that they can give us better products and it can trickle down to us. Totally so yes, kudos. Absolutely. Yes.
Do I wish everything was cheaper and more accessible? Yeah.
Getting cheaper. Yeah.
But there's a middle road there somewhere. And we need these companies to be profitable because we need them to keep pumping out cool stuff and new stuff and better stuff and more reliable stuff. I can't tell you how it's so nice to be able to ride reliable bikes that aren't breaking all the time. We were having derailleurs break all the time. We were having flat tires all the time.
Flat tires.
Dented parts. Absolutely.
We didn't even get into tires, Danny, but tire technology is.
That's another. I mean, I think that's a great idea for a quick rip. Is just I think that's a great idea for a quick rip. Is the improved. Which parts of bikes have really improved. So much that we just take it for granted now. And so just giving appreciation to, all these people that are innovating on bikes and the bike industry as a whole.
Yes. And I just want to say one thing to thwart all the comments, because I know we're going to get the comment of it's not about the gear. It's about the rider. We understand that.
Yes.
We understand that the gear is a very small piece of this, and it really doesn't matter. If you're a good rider, you're a good rider. But you would also be kidding yourself if you said that gear didn't matter at all. And I think we can all agree to that. How much though? And that's the question. How important is the gear? What is that percentage?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much do you want to spend? It's certainly the rider is the most important thing. And probably the best upgrade you can do is upgrading your skills or getting some coaching.
Fitness. Yes.
Yeah. And that's all going to be cheaper than these bike parts. And does the bike industry want you to think that upgrading the bike is going to make you a better rider and that's what you need? Of course. It's marketing. It's capitalism.
Yes.
Yeah. So that aside, I think that's a great caveat. It is the rider. But okay, that aside, what parts on the bikes are necessary to upgrade, are best to upgrade, are the most fun to upgrade? And it's a fun conversation. That's all we're doing here. We're just having a fun conversation. So let us know what you think. What do we miss? What do you want to add? What do you agree with? And where is the money best spent? Anything else, Sage?
Yeah. You know what's not marketing hype? This podcast is one of the best podcasts, and we hope that you subscribe.
Yes, absolutely. Please subscribe. Great segue. It's absolutely free for now. I mean, soon, this is going to be a very expensive podcast. You never know what's going to happen. Listen to all of them. Download them all while you can, while they're still free, quickly. Yeah. Save them all. Rate and subscribe on your podcast player. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Emails at rideandlaugh1@gmail.com. Tell your friends. We appreciate everybody listening. Everyone have a fantastic week and a great week of riding. Oh, and if you're new to Ride and Laugh because you're listening to the Quick Rip, make sure you go back and check out all those excellent full episodes that we have.
Welcome.
Download them all and leave us reviews on Apple Review and all that good stuff. So thank you, everybody. Have a great week and a great week of riding. Ride and Laugh.
I'll see you, everyone.